All right, so I haven't really touched the car too much recently. Buddy Matt came over, we did some work on routing the dump tube. That's the new goal here. Now that the radiator's mounted, the intercooler's mounted, I gotta rig up the new dump tube area, and we already did a little bit of work, so I'm gonna kind of show you where we're at with that. So currently I can move the wastegate, as you can see. Here looks like about a good spot. And as you can see, the dump tube, I'll probably move it a little bit like this. Kind of split the difference, right? So what I did is I took the existing pipe that came with the Go Auto Works kit. This was part of the dump tube. I just kind of took the pipe, original piece up there, did some pie cuts, tacked some stuff, and put a flex joint there. So what I need to do now is, let's go under here, I'll show you. Shouldn't be too much. Yeah, see? So you can see, oh, the lights are coming in. You can see that it's got some clearance between it with, that aluminum on there. So I should be able to wrap it. And it looks like, if I can get the glare out here. All right, we got some room here between the engine and everything else. And obviously it's never going to touch the motor because this is going to move with it. But if that was a concern, I could just move it like that. And what I bought now is, this is 1.5 inch, 62 wall. Way too much, but I think I'm gonna be able to slide this up in here. And the game plan would be, or is gonna be, to come out of the dump tube and just kind of go in like right here-ish would be the idea. Or maybe down here. I'm not too sure. We'll kind of feel that out. As you can see, the self-clearancing over the years. This pipe you think is probably about to be gone, but worst case scenario, right, when that day hits, I can just put a flat piece or something around it, but then eventually I'll have to tweak the exhaust. What I did is I moved it up as high as I could without, let's move this back again so you can see it. All right, I can get my hand in between there. So there's the clearance. Has some clearance, but yeah, so let's work on this here. All right, I've said this a million times, but I need to work on it when I'm like in the middle of fabbing stuff. I just kind of get in the groove, and I'm really bad at filming, especially if I'm in a rush. So the winter project, I shouldn't be in a rush, but I kind of am, just because I want the car to be up and running, and it's been sitting here for like, I don't know, 2 months now. So fast forward. Here we go. Curves. Comes down. And so there is a gap there right now, right? But what I should be able to do is probably cut like one more pie cut and hole saw right in here and just sort of shave the pie cut down to fit the gap that I have. I think that should work. There's the flex. I mean, I could even do that with it, right? Like, there's no point of putting the flex under stress, but I could. So let's take the wastegate off the dump. We got one good shot at this here, and we will try to hole saw right through there. So ignore the giant mess, but this manifold is gonna look super cool. So I obviously need to pressure wash everything, but I wanna do a quick little take, and I kinda just cleaned here and a little bit over there, and you can see I sprayed with some more Alumablast. And I think I'm gonna do that basically from just the block and this upper portion of the head. I already did that to the motor originally, and I just sprayed it with like some 1K clear. So I think I'm gonna do the whole engine block in the head from what you can see right here, just head on, and then spray with some 2K clear. And I think everything should clean up pretty good. But man, this manifold's gonna look good. It's actually way more satin than the camera's displaying it. All right, so I was just doing little bits here and there every day. Super long story short, most of it's back together and it's idling right now. So I'm gonna show you some stuff, and we still got more to do. But I ended up going with the burnt bronze. No turbo manifold on yet. Wastegate lines aren't permanently ran, they're just kind of mocked up. As you can see, plethora of more room for sure. One coolant line back there. The downpipe and the wastegate dump are wrapped. This pipe is gonna get cleaned up, and I'm gonna put yellow gold tape all over it. And there she is currently. We are bleeding her. Let's see what the temp is at here. Like at 177. So let this climb up to about like 201 or something like that, and then turn the fans on, just trying to get it to bleed. It has been bleeding fine, but I'm gonna do about 2 total cycles, make sure there's no bubbles, and we're gonna move on from there. All right, so something else we're gonna be doing right now is, I'm just kind of going over all the ball joints and just making sure everything's good. And if it's good, I'm not gonna replace it. But just through some stuff, talking to some buddies and whatnot, I am just gonna swap over to some spherical items just to, I don't know, see if it gives the car a little more compliance and a little less twitchy in certain areas. And the car, again, drives great. I just need to focus on my driving. But here we sit now. So here's my Skunk 2 camber kit. And here's the arms that I ordered for Skunk 2 that I've been running this whole time. The bushings in it are honestly real solid. They're still real good. But what I am going to is these PCIs here. So now, just so everyone's aware, they're not necessarily like a spherical like bearing. It's more of just like a solid bushing, as you can see, right? They're machined very nicely. It's a nice housing. And all this is going to do is just essentially make this extremely rigid. I'm going to put the PCI logos on the inside, just for, I don't know, in case you go open the wheel well, you can take a gander at it. That said, the instructions say that some upper control arms may need to be modified. So if we look here, I've definitely got clearance, but I mean, it can come all the way up here. So I might just grind a little bit in here, just in case, you know, whatever doesn't dig into it. And same thing with this one. I already did the passenger side of the car, and that one only needed modification on one side. And it was just like sanding this down a little bit because the arm essentially came to like right here and made contact. So I wanted to be able to at least go more forward. All right, so PCI pieces are installed up there. Everything's back together. So I got to do cotter pins, but everything down there is torqued. Everything's up here is torqued. New PCI hardware, and then I just put some new nuts up there just to look a little nicer. So next, we're going to, here's for the rear. We're going to take out our poly bushings in the rear. We're going to go to the PCI sphericals, and then we're going to go to the toned or the honed toe arms. So I'm going with these arms because I'll show you when I get down there. The passenger rear toe arm, the bushing is kind of, it's on its way out for sure. So I need to swap that out regardless. And I had ordered these a while ago. Just when I bought these from Honed, they actually didn't make a CRX version. So these arms were shorter. And Honed was super cool. I messaged them and was like, hey, these aren't long enough to fit the CRX chassis. And they're like, oh, yes, you know, our bad for the description, blah, blah. If you want, you can mail them back to us. You know, we'll refund your money, which is super cool of them. I decided to keep them and maybe, I don't know, try to sell them locally. Didn't happen. But here's like what the Integra and EG piece looks like, right? Definitely shorter. So they eventually now released it so it can go for our, you know, the CRX or the EF chassis. And, well, I got new arms. So super thanks to Honed. Yeah, so let's just get to, I'm not going to show you guys taking the rear off, but I'm going to get the rear out and we'll get to putting the RTAs on first, and we'll do this at the same time. I'm just going to kind of, a little dirty. At this point, you might as well just kind of investigate, you know, all the stuff that I did, right? Like, there you go. All the spray paint's holding up pretty good. She is going to get another wipe down for sure, but we can investigate how I notched the rear there. It still looks good. There's no actual issues. And if you didn't watch, there's all the bracing I did on the backside. You probably can't tell, but there's a flat bar that goes this direction on both sides. Probably pretty hard to tell, but I made a video on it. Probably overkill, but I did it just for clearancing sake. So now, let's fight and get these, let's get these poly bushings out. Pull it out now. Well, it's like 4 years or 3 years. Still kind of like sticky with that lube that you put on it. All right, so the bushings are pushed out, and so is the sleeve. I've done it install one of my past videos. There's tons of them on YouTube. you can go check those out, but it's pretty straightforward. So now with it out, PCI does provide you with this little like drill template. The only issue with it is on a CRXS or a CRX like rear trailing arm is it does not fit in there. I'm pretty sure it'll fit like the DA and stuff. So, but it's not a huge ordeal. I mean, it's super cool to even include it. So here's the PCI arm. So like that's just naturally where I think, you know, you'd want it to go. Now you probably can't see this. I'm gonna try to see how it's not exactly sitting flush. So if I rotate it, it'll kind of just find its home. Like right there. Doesn't move. So that's where it's going to go, and it can't move back and forth. It is a spherical, so it'll be able to, obviously the center of this is going to be on point. I'm just going to grab a nifty little paint pen. Kind of doll all that up there. Got a little bit going on in there. And pull it off, and we will drill her up like that. All right, well, I just read the instructions again to see what the torque specs for these were. And this plate was, as I suspected, should have read the instructions first. It doesn't apply to me here. So now that the bolts are in, we're just gonna flip this old girl over. If I can get it to stand. All right, so pretty self-explanatory. Washer, and then a lock nut, and I know it's intended for race use only, yada yada, so it should be probably sufficient. I am a little neurotic because I've had quite a bit come loose on me, so we're just going to put some blue Loctite on it. All right, so the last project probably for this video is, so I have a thermal exhaust in the car, but I took the muffler off a long time ago, probably after maybe like the third track day, 2 years ago. And it's just because the car, it sounded great, but it didn't sound rowdy enough. It is a fantastic exhaust. So basically I chopped it, added V-bands around it, and basically made a delete where I could eventually in the future, if I wanted to, just add another V-band to the muffler and I could just, pop that in and out. But then forever I've been running just a straight pipe, basically, where, from the downpipe connecting to the thermal exhaust. Now, these V-bands are already, kind of good. They've already been on there, so I'm going to try to reuse them without having to use new V-bands. So I bought a resonator to hopefully kind of just, right, I just said it wasn't rowdy enough. Now it's rowdy, but it's a little on the raspier side. And yes, the muffler obviously, or the turbo acts as a muffler, but I want it to be a little deeper tone. So we're going to throw a resonator on it. And this is basically the right length. There's a little bit of issue having to finagle with the V-bands. Thankfully, the downpipe's got a flex joint, so it kind of allowed me to like move it around a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of line this up here, and knowing that that is the right length. Here's the resonator; it's a little shorter. So I think what I'm going to do is basically just kind of cut it like whoop right there, and probably right there, something like that, and try to just take this chunk here at the end, tack it on here. And we're going to see what we can do and just get this thing to fit. This little Wen benchtop, bandsaw, real fast. You've never seen me use this thing. It's a fantastic tabletop it's a fantastic tabletop bench saw. And when I added that little piece there to make it essentially turn into a vertical, when I put my little plate there that's on the ground, blah, blah, blah. This thing's just... This is the same blade I bought, I think, 2.5 years ago. As long as you use some lube, take care of it, blah, 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 this thing's fantastic. Simple speed adjustment. And from the moves, one of the movers did break in the case. Like, they cracked the plastic. I just threw some, plastic JB Weld all around the case just to hold it. But, yeah, love this thing. All right, so this is not exactly, I guess how I'd want to do it, but I'm just trying to reuse stuff here. So, the V-band's clamped there. You can see I kind of tacked it right here. So, again, I cut that section off I showed, and it actually slid in here very nicely. So, I tacked this in 2 places, so that's there. And then here, all right, we're back. Reseated it. We're good there now, and you can see I drew a Sharpie line going around it, threw a bunch of basically just lines just to indicate it. So now we'll zap that V-band off. Zap this assembly off. We'll tack this in 2 or 3 spots, try to rebolt it up, and we'll go from there. All right, so the resonator is on, and I will be honest, maybe I'll show you guys, maybe I won't. We'll see if I get down to it, but That resonator, I forgot what brand I even bought. Should have just went with a Vibrant or something because it, the metal on it was just trash. It welded, not great, but it welded. And I'm gonna bleed the coolant real quick, and hopefully that'll kind of be done for the time being. Let's see here. All right. You can see there we got a couple little, got some bubbles, so it's good we're bleeding. The idle sounds like it's starting to tame just a little bit. It's starting to settle there a little bit. 195, so we're gonna probably, I'm gonna let it come up to like 201. I like to get a little hot. I mean, I know it's not super hot, but I like to get a little warm before I start to like count those as my, you know, lead sessions there. So I'm gonna let this come up again. Once it gets to like maybe 201, it's gonna trigger the fans, and let's see how quickly it comes down. I'll have to probably go look through some old videos and see if I have any showcasing like how fast the old system did. Now granted, I already ran the same fan with, you know, the whole last season and did well. I don't know if it's gonna come down a little bit faster because of bigger cooling capacity or, you know, whatever the case is. So we are about there. Oh, the idle's kind of nothing crazy again, but it's fluctuating a little more than I'd like. 197, we're almost there. All right, here we go. It's definitely, it's 201 now, but here's the kicker, right? It just changed to it. So by the time I turn these fans on, it's probably going to go above it. But let's see if the radiator, or let's see if the alternator belt screams a little bit. Oh, it didn't. Idle air control valve kicked in. Second fan. There we go, just started a timer, 201. I guarantee it's probably gonna go up before it starts to go down because it was probably already raising, you know, before I flipped the switches.
Let's take a gander here. 12 seconds, 13. I don't know if it won't go. Maybe it just caught it as it's about to go up. Usually once it starts to go down, look, there we are, 197.6. It starts to go pretty quick in the past. Yep, 195, 194, 192, 188.6, all right. We are approaching a minute, we're at 186.8, 185, and there's a minute.
Lower, if it even goes lower than that. Oh, 183.2. Will it get below that? Will we be able to close the thermostat? Like fully close it? I don't know, man. Those fans are gonna put in some work there. 127. That's probably about as low as she'll go. And the idle is, I'd say it's probably, 181. So the idle is definitely better. Now what's cool is, I should be able to, yeah, right, even over there, even though the fan's over here, it's pulling enough through the, okay, so not enough over there. I mean, the center of it, 100%. If I was to go behind it, that's kind of hard to, try to get any more bubbles out here. Ugh. Let's turn the fans off. Oh shit, there it is. Oh, look at that. 179. We're at 3 minutes. Okay. Let's turn the fans off. So now I'll probably just do like one more bleed cycle. I'll do that whole same thing again one more time. And hopefully I don't have any more bubbles coming out. Maybe the idle will stabilize. All right, I'm just gonna wrap the video up here. I still got quite a bit to do, but the engine bay is pretty much wrapped up. We'll say catch cans back in there. Kind of clean some stuff up. I probably need to do some more cleaning up as far as like just like literal dirt, like maybe in there or something. But yeah, otherwise engine bay is together. I still got to put a turbo blanket on it. But as you saw earlier, the honed arms are on, the PCI arms are on. The other PCI arms up there. I put the speed bleeders on. I still need to bleed the brakes. I still think I might end up taking this caliper off again and just re-scuffing it, re-spraying. Like, look at the Honda sticker. Like, I don't know how that happened. I'll try to clean it and see if I can get it off. But I want the sticker to show, for whatever reason, on the rears. They're mint. Yes, I know there's more brake dust that, gets in the front there. I do have another molding in my shed. I might end up just swapping it. This is the one that was involved in the car accident when I had it a while ago. So it doesn't really want to like stay there, but it is what it is. We're going to swap that. I'm going to then maybe do a project with the front bumper. I don't know what yet because I'm not using the brake ducts. For what we're doing, I haven't really found the need to do it yet, especially with the Carbotex and the bigger front rotors. So we'll get there, but I apologize for this video being all over the place. I don't even know what the next video is going to entail. I got quite a bit still to do. I got to tighten the interior. I fixed a wire over there. I am going to pull the center console area stuff out. I think I can honestly just delete the radio at this point. And, I don't know, do something a little bit cleaner there with the mount as far as getting rid of this Ram mount. It does work out, but just get something a little cleaner in the dash. And if anybody's got any idea for seats, I'm kind of tired of these FX1s. I'm thinking like something Sparker related because they've got so many and so many sizes, but I don't know which one. Maybe the Sparco Evos. There's just so many. The Pro 2000s, there's just a bunch. So if anybody's got any recommendations for that, I'm all ears. Which ones fit great in the car? And do they fit with my PCI brackets? That's another question. I've read some stuff that the Sparco, like the QRT series specifically, they just have a different like bolt pattern, center to center. So my rails just might not line up. So we'll see. We'll figure that out. But that's what's coming up here. I'm getting ready to get this car on the ground. That's what I want to do next. So I can go get an alignment now with everything that's been retouched up and blah, blah, blah. So I appreciate everybody for watching as usual. Any questions, comments? I know it was all over the place. This probably spanned a good month and a half. I know it doesn't seem like a ton of work, but again, it's just me coming in and working on stuff ever so slowly. So until next video, thanks for watching, guys.